There she is. Good morning. Laura, you are a champ for being here. Oh my gosh. Gina, good. Oh, there she is. She's coming in. Hey, girl. Hi.
Hey, Sarah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can hear you great. I love your glasses.
Oh, thank you. These are called I went out last night for my sister's birthday and ate a bunch of gluten that I knew I shouldn't have, and now my eyes are all puffy.
You have like the swollen, do you get the swollen reaction to that? Because I definitely do.
I'm like all like, so no contacts
You look
today.
great. Oh my gosh. Yay. Welcome in, everyone. Thanks, Katrina. See your comment. This is the first time I've like done it. I was a hardcore blonde up until last week. Well, like half of me was. It was like grown out to here. And I just realized I'm not gonna keep it up. I'm just not, it's who I am to have roots all the time. And I was over it.
Love it.
Oh, it's so, Mama, you're here. I thought you're muted, Mom. Still muted, Mom. I'm asking you to unmute, Mama Hud. There we go. Now I can't even hear you. Speak up, Mama. Hey, Deb. Hey, Christy. Welcome in, everyone.
Hello, hello. So excited.
This is so fun. I pretty much like woke up and popped out of bed because I couldn't wait for today.
Yay.
Hi, Acacia. I see you. Hi. Come on in. Gosh, you guys are punctual. It's awesome.
Well, I've been working on it for about 20 minutes to make sure I could get this.
Wow, that is commitment, Mama. While you're babysitting, right? Looking after a
Yeah.
couple grandkids.
Sure. Hallelujah. They're at
Yeah.
school.
Hey, Audra. Christine, I love the lipstick. You always have a really great shade on. Yeah. While people are coming on in, let's start the question of the day. Well, not of the day, of the workshop. Put in the chat. I would love to know what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish? What do you look forward to
Stuffing.
most?
I mean, stuffing is like the answer, right?
So yes, I'm not a stuffing kind of gal. I just
Really?
don't get it. You're not either?
You're not either?
Sherry, you're not? Do you have a, yep, see, I'm more of a sweet potatoes person too. Cornbread stuffing.
I feel like,
are you, is stuffing
I mean,
your
this like goes
go-to?
back to my gluten thing, but it's like you don't have it any other times. It's like this one thing. I'd be happy with the stovetop stuff. It's like the more like, that like poultry seasoning, very specific umami, like so salty is what I need. It's like, and not to say I don't like the fancy stuff, but it has to be fancy in the right way, like still with like a lot of celery and like the right texture. But oh, when it's good, it's so good.
Maybe that's the thing. I just haven't really appreciated all the different flavors added. Gina, you're gonna have to, well, I'll just mention it right now. Your cookbook. Do you have a stuffing recipe in it?
My cookbook is all nachos. 100% nachos.
100%?
It's called Buenos Nachos and it delivers. It's 50 nacho recipes from different celebrities and chefs and stuff. So that definitely, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So no stuffing nachos.
I was just literally thinking, I'm like, because there's so many that like there could have been, but no, I don't believe there. I mean, but that's not a terrible idea. Like a stuffing seasoning nacho, like that poultry seasoning, a lot of celery. Like that would be a good challenge for somebody.
That would be Christina, I have to, well, we're going to get started in just a second here. Oh, roasted butternut squash with raw rice stuffing, Deb. Oh, that sounds heavenly. Mama, I would kill for anything Thanksgiving related made by you. Especially, I'm a sweet potatoes and yams kind of gal. I have to mention this, Christina Conrad, you guys all see her in here. She, if you don't know, she is also a fellow business owner. Her company is called Foodie with a Life. And I don't consider myself a foodie, but she is like turning me into one. She's all about recipes that are going to save you time in the kitchen. And I mean, she's got a little one running around. You're probably the only person I know that can turn one recipe into like 10. Like you just come up with all these different ways to use the same ingredients. And I just so appreciate it. And she's got these workshops, are really fun. And you also have a bundle right now, right? Like a seasonal bundle that you're putting out for Black Friday. I think what is it? $38 for the year. Yeah. Hold on. I hear you. I see you talking, but I can't hear you for some reason. Let me turn my volume way up here. I'll put the link in the recap email. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's $38 for the year, and it's but it's buy one, give one. So you can like sign a buddy up to cook with you next year. And every season you get 6 recipes. So breakfast, lunch, 2 dinners, a snack, a veggie side. And it's basically like someone swooping in every season and being like, here you go. We're just bringing you right into the next season. You don't even have to think about it. They're very doable, super approachable. And it's like a mix between made in a moment and then batch cooked. So you kind of can like plan your week to it.
So smart. Love it. All right. Well, I'm meeting a few more people. This is so awesome. Gina, I feel like all of us here kind of know you in a way because I've just been gabbing about you.
Hey.
We have a couple people in here who have like not only bought, but finished your book.
Hey.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Selena, I'm putting you on the spot. You're like, I'm totally fangirling out over her. This is
I'll try not to, but yeah.
No, I love it. Oh my God, that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I'm a Leo, so I'm like, give me all the attention.
Hey, I'm a Leo too. That's fun.
Here it is.
Yay. I feel like we can all just, yes, it's like a book club / workshop today.
Yay.
Okay, just a couple quick announcements too before Gina, I'm just going to throw you in here. I just wanted to welcome our new members. We've got Mary Santee. I'm super excited about her. Selena, your mom, right? Lisa, Bonnie, Jessica, and we got our first dude, you guys. He's not on today. He's working and on vacation, I think, actually. But Luke, welcome. And our new platform is live. I'm so thrilled, you guys. I'm just so happy that a lot of you have already like transferred on over there. And if you haven't yet, let me know if I can help you with that. It's just freaking amazing. It's like away from the noisy Facebook world. And I'm obsessed with it. It's really fun. So get on over there if you're not already. Oh, we got to welcome Jan in here. And I've got I'll send a newsletter out after this, but I've got new holiday designs. I'm super excited to show you guys this one's back. Ho ho, holy shit, what a year. This is specifically for this year. Like, sorry in advance for driving you nuts this Christmas, although let's not forget that around this time last year you were missing me big time. For anyone that's going to meet up in person, this is another one from last year that was a top seller. Merry Christmas to you and your toddler. Got one for the dog and the cat as well. Come la 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 la. For those of you who love her. Let it snow enough. Just one is enough. This is new. A couple of you guys voted for this one to come into play this year. It's beginning to look a lot like fuck this. From a mom who's got the night before Christmas, everything is just all over the place.
Chaos.
Yeah. And then I just put this one up on my site for those that might struggle with the holidays, whether it be Christmas, Hanukkah, anything around this time of year. And I purposely made it a handwritten note just to make it authentic without any frills. I know this holiday is tough on you, and I want you to know you're on my mind, you're in my heart, and I'm sending you love.
That's so nice.
Yeah, I mean,
Perfect.
I thank you. this is I just think there's not enough cards like this, you know. There's a lot of cheery holiday stuff, but that's not the case for a lot of people. And then I don't know if I mentioned this one before, but last one real quick. Politically, I feel like there's a lot happening, which isn't anything new, but I feel like around the holidays, especially, you're going to be, you know, more likely to get together with the relative or that, you know, family friend that you might clash with a little bit. And I really wanted to come up with a card that could potentially bring you together, or at least start off a more positive conversation when you do see each other. And it says, you know, 2 half circles, one's blue, one's red, and then they come together for purple. And it says that while our political views might look totally different, I just wanted to tell you, in case you forgot, I love you so much. And that's what that is. So I'll put a link to those. Don't forget, you guys have a discount for members. Okay, let us get going here. Welcome, Gina Hamadey. I'm so thrilled that you're here. Welcome to Just Send the Damn Card. This is pretty casual, although we do have somewhat of a format today. Gina, usually we kick this off because I get very excited and happy and like blah, blah, blah. We usually kick this off with like a quick little intention setting with one of our own. Christina, I'm going to call you in on here. We're just going to take a minute to do that. Take it away.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, well, just to give you a little bit of a preface. So I have a strong yoga background, so that's why I'm like leaning so hard on this. But I love meditation, and just as Sarah said, it's like such a beautiful way to just open up the space and kind of let all that sparkly energy kind of like settle into this container. So with that said, I'm going to have you drop your eyes closed. I'm going to have you bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. Take a big inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Feel for your shoulders rolling back and down. Take another inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. We'll do that again, but try to lengthen both. So inhale slowly through your nose. Hold it at the top, and then exhale through your mouth. Long, deep breaths, completely emptying out. Bring your awareness to the top of the head. And I'm just going to lead you through a brief body scan. So we're not going to linger anywhere, but we're just going to bring our awareness through the body. So starting at the top of the head, feel your forehead and your temples, eyes, nose, cheeks, lips, jaw. Feel for the back of the head and the ears. Come down the neck, and then feel wide across the shoulders. Bring your awareness to your shoulder blades. Again, roll your shoulders back and down and let your shoulder blades drop down. And into this hand that's resting on your chest, feel a gentle lift of your chest, a gentle brightening. And with that, I want you to think about one thing that you're grateful for today. There's no judgment, can be simple or complex. Just whatever bubbles to the top for you. Hold that little drop of joy at your heart center. Take a breath into that palm, into that intention to expand your gratitude, either deeper into this one idea or wider. Inhale into that top hand resting on your heart and exhale through the mouth. One more. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And slowly lift the eyelids. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That is nice. Thanks, Christina. Okay, I would love to officially introduce you, Gina.
Great.
I feel like we could just jump on in and just gab, but for those of you who don't know, I definitely want to introduce Gina, our special guest today. So Gina is the author of the book, I Want to Thank You, about her year writing 365 thank you notes to friends, neighbors, family members, mentors, and more, like charity donors, healers, chefs, makers, colleagues, authors, you name it. She was a travel editor at Food and Wine and Rachel Ray Every Day, and started her career at the groundbreaking titles O, the Oprah Magazine, and George. She founded the content and social strategy firm Penknife Media. Gina has written for the New York Times, Real Simple, Reader's Digest, Women's Health, and Elle, and wrote the cookbook Buenos Nachos, which I love hearing you talk about, and I want to hear more about that. She lives in Brooklyn with her husband Jake and her two boys who are adorable, Henry and Charlie. So no big deal. Gina's here with us today. Thank you, Gina. I want to thank you for being here. This is really cool.
It's so my pleasure. I love finding this community that's just feels like a really special place. I'm just from everything that you've said about it, and feels like it's just nice to find this like-minded, like niche community. Right. Yeah. I'm glad to be here.
We're going to we'll do a Q&A at the end. If you guys think of anything that you want to ask Gina during the workshop, you can go ahead and punch it in the chat or just raise your hand later when we get to that. But I would love to just kind of kick this off with what I love to call a rapid fire love fest. A lot of you know what that is, but Gina, we basically just to get us kind of warmed up, I love to start with a challenge to everyone to write either a postcard or love. I mean, it can be on a napkin, it could be a card, anything that you guys have on hand, but just to keep it short and sweet. So I would love, if you have any suggestions for this, like what, do you have a go-to format that you love to use, or any tips on writing a really awesome rapid fire love fest?
A tip for writing a rapid fire love fest. So meaning like if you just have a moment and you just want to write to somebody, any tips for how to do so? That's what you're saying?
Yeah. Like what, if you only had 2 or 3 lines to write to someone?
First of all, I feel like it's just a good idea in general. Like I've noticed myself, like one thing I've been doing lately is if I look at the clock and I'm like, okay, I have to leave in 10 minutes. It's not enough time, I don't know, to like start a new work project, or like, I don't know, just like, it's not enough time for a lot of things. And I could just fret away that, like fritter, is that the verb? that time away, like on social media or something. I'm like, okay, this is a great time to see how many little notes I can do. And I always have this little list of, notes that I might want to be writing. And I could get through like 5 of those in 10 minutes if I'm just focused. But what I always say is, even if you have 2 minutes, I would say use at least the first 20 seconds, just thinking, even before, I almost never write an outline or like write a draft or any of like those fussy things, but I do feel like I need to think for just a moment, and I just focus on that, kind of like how Christina was just leading us through that meditation, like focusing on that person, thinking about a specific moment, or what you want to be talking about, a memory, something they said, something they did, something you love about them. Like just think about it and like see and feel the details and the specifics, and then go just like write exactly what you were thinking of. Yeah, that's my tip.
I love that. Just think for 20 seconds. Well, let's do that. Let's do that in real time right now. Just take a couple minutes. This is our time to write in real time. Grab whatever you want. I always say bonus points for grabbing the card that you've had in your stash the longest, like your oldest, dustiest, fuggliest card. Just use it for this, right? Because Gina, have you ever, in all the notes that you wrote and all of them since then, have you ever had one person say anything like, oh, this is a weird card, or no, right?
Never. And that's, I write about this in the book, but it's like, I talked to this social scientist about like all the stuff that the writer is thinking, none of it is what the reader is thinking. And that's like an interesting thing to realize. Like you're thinking what card should I use? Oh God, this isn't good enough. You're thinking my handwriting's not good. You're thinking, should I say it this way or that way? And they're only receiving, and they're never thinking, what did I think what he said, what I quoted him was like, they're only thinking about how nice this is. They're not thinking, how could this have been nicer?
Right. Ah, so good. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do one myself. We'll just do this for like 2-3 minutes. Just do like 1 more minute, and then I always love to ask if anyone feels like sharing. So heads up on that. More bonus points. Makes me so happy to see everyone writing. All right. Does anyone feel like sharing?
I'd like to share.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Sarah. I have a cousin of mine who owns a small business. It's like a Greek and international food shop. And in the last year or so, she's been working really hard to source, really fun products and support moms and small businesses and to host them in her shop. And it's been really hard for her as a small business owner. And I just know that her heart is really big and wants to, she wants to support all these really creative moms and products. But I just wrote her a note saying that I know it's really hard, but I know that you're building a community and it will pay off. So keep going. And I just have this card with some little Greek kid dancers on them.
That is awesome.
That's so lovely. You get A+ from me for a few things I just feel like what people are just, first of all, it was really specific and it was short but sweet, and you don't need any more than that. And you're just acknowledging something that she, maybe she doesn't think other people are even thinking about or noticing. And she's obviously going through I don't know, that's like a hard time in her life, even if it's like also rewarding. And that's just going to feel so good to have a surprise like that somebody she loves is noticing all that and is a cheerleader.
Yes. Ditto.
Ditto.
Gina, okay, so for those of you who haven't read her book yet, A, get on it. B, can you just tell us a little bit about how the hell did you write? Yay, Sherry has it. How did all of this start? It was somewhat accidentally, right?
Yeah.
You didn't intend to do an entire year. You didn't intend to write a book. For those of us who are like me, like thinking, how the heck did this woman write a card every single day for a year? Tell us how it started.
So it started because I had this stack of thank you notes that I had promised to donors of a fundraiser for City Harvest, which is like a hunger, they feed, it's like a food bank situation in New York. And I had promised these thank you notes, and I brought a stack of notes with me onto the train. I was commuting to New Jersey at the time for this gig I was doing. It's an hour-long train ride. And one day I turned to the cards, and it was just one other thing on my to-do list. I would say I felt neutral about the task. I wasn't dreading it. I wasn't like, oh, this will be great. I just was like, let's get to this thing on the list. And spending an hour on that quiet train ride instead of in my to-do list, in my emails, in my feeds, spending it on writing thank you notes to generous people who gave money for this, foundation, just really was it felt remarkably good. I felt my shoulders relax. I felt my breathing slow. I felt like some kind of veil had been lifted. I just felt like I got off the train and walked through the town and walked to the office in this like really great positive mood. And every day that I would write those cards instead of doing the other things, I would feel that way. And I was reflecting on all this at the end of the month when I had finished my stack of cards. And I looked and I saw on my list that I had written 31 cards, and it was January 31st. So I think having that magazine background that you mentioned, I don't know. It's like, I thought of it like I thought of this whole idea in like 1 minute. And it was like, I thought of the whole thing like a little content calendar, like, okay, well, if I want to keep this up, if this felt really good, I know myself and I know I can't just throw out a good intention that I'm just going to start writing thank you notes on occasion whenever, like, I'm never going to do it. So if I've written a thank you note for every day this year, and my goal is let's keep going, let's see if I could do it for the rest of the year. Okay, I need some structure behind it. So then I came up with my little format where every month I turn to a different group of recipients. So friends, neighbors, family, mentors, authors, and I came up with 11 more topics because I just, of course, finished the first one. And then I just started executing.
It's amazing, but you kept up on it.
Yes. And I didn't technically write one a day. I would sort of like batch them up into 5 or 8. The train was a great place to do it. And then that consultancy ended in the spring. So then I had to sort of like find a new time and place to do them. But I would generally like find an hour, find 45 minutes, find half an hour, and, kind of jam out a bunch at a time up until the last month. The last month was my husband, and I wrote him a note every day. And that I did one a day, which actually it was December. And I'm like, this was maybe a better idea. Like, it's like more doable if you're just like, oh, I will take 4 minutes a day. Like, that's nicer maybe than like having this like hour and, anyway. So I was like, maybe if I ever do this again, maybe I will do the one a day thing that everybody's assuming I'm doing.
That is amazing. So it's like anything, right? Like you break it down and you just start small, right? Like this started with a couple rides on the subway. Like it was just a small thing. And that's what I love about like our little rapid fire love fest. I know that when I do it myself, you just start getting that little bit of momentum, and it doesn't take a whole lot. I mean, I can tell you, my husband's got like 5-6 post-it notes that I've written to him going back like a couple years ago. He still has them, they still mean a lot to him. So I love that. It's just really starting small and just having like 1 or 2 minutes here and there. Okay, I would love to just jump in to like our main prompt of the day. And and which is writing to a mentor. And can you kind of say why that is? Because you mentioned that was one of your favorite prompts, right?
Yeah. What my mentor month was in September. So it was toward the end of the year. And I have to say, while most of the year was like 3 sentences was like perfect for me, I have to say mentors was a little more thought out and a little longer. Not to say that you have to, I don't know, not to say that you have to like be super comprehensive and write like pages long, but I did find honestly that that was a little more like a letter rather than a 3-sentence card, which was like perfect for neighbors or friends or whatever. The reason why I loved it and was really surprised by it, it just felt like, God, this should be like, I don't want to say compulsory, but this should be like a very normal thing to like reach out to mentors from years past and write them a thank you letter. Like this should be something that everybody just does or thinks to do, or like is not at all weird. Because if you think about it, like just mentorship is such a giving, it's just such a giving thing. And we've all probably been on both sides of that coin. And as a mentor, you do it with a lot of love and generosity and not expecting anything in return. But you know, you are pouring a lot into somebody, you know, just with that hope that it helps them. And then, you know, you often maybe don't, I don't know, it's like you wish them well and maybe, you know, you move on and there's different jobs or whatever, but it's still, you know, I don't know, like at least on the receiving end, when I started writing that list at the beginning of the month, like who are my mentors? I thought it's like when I thought of the word mentor, there was like one person I had in mind, and you know, and then if I thought a little bit more, there were like three people or something that I thought of right away as like, oh, those have been my career mentors. And then when I really like sat down with my resume and really thought about it, it was so easy to get to 30 people that it was like astounding. And I've only had 3 full-time jobs, like meaning I spent like a lot of time at one magazine. I didn't bounce around a lot. So I really thought that it was going to be a struggle. And I couldn't believe how many people fit that mold of like, oh, wow.
I just try to like underline a few. Yeah. I mean, if you guys are, if you find yourself right now thinking, okay, who can I write to? I know a couple of you guys did a card to a mentor a few months ago during a previous workshop. But Gina, I love that you wrote, so you actually wrote to someone who let you go.
Yeah.
And that was really tough for you. But
yeah.
And you kind of put that off, right?
Yeah, it was like one of these notes throughout the year that, you know, the note that I didn't want to write, the note that I was stubborn about, the note that I was like, I don't know if I want to, or
why.
This, yeah, right. You know, like those notes were so helpful for me as far as like processing and, you know, so that one was not only about repairing a relationship or like thanking that person for what she had done for me. And that happened to be the former editor-in-chief of Food and Wine, Dana Cowan. She hired me. And then she laid me off, you know, and then she got laid off and blah, blah, blah. But that I waited to write her a note. I didn't write her one in that month. And then, you know, later as I was writing the book, we ran into each other and I kind of shared what I'd been doing. And she was like so helpful. And we had this great talk. And I went home and I'm like, you know what? I think let me just do it. And that one I did like write 3 or 4 drafts. And the first one was like very passive aggressive. And I'm like, okay, maybe I don't send that one, but maybe that was helpful to write. Yeah. But the note I wrote her was not, I mean, it was like pretty honest. It was like, you know, I didn't want to write you this because my feelings are still hurt, you know, and whatever. Like, I wasn't like I was, you know, I didn't, I don't know. I didn't like, I was pretty real with her, but yeah. So I would say if there are any of those people, it was very helpful for me. And her response was like incredible and, you know, it definitely offered some closure that I felt like I didn't have before.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I want to like take that, bottle it up and challenge all of you to write to that person. If you have that person in your life, if you've been let go, you know, regardless of the circumstances, if you had maybe sort of an awkward goodbye, or you didn't get a chance to say, you know, the nice casual, thank you for everything kind of goodbye, write to them. Let's see if you can do that today. And I'll probably put these in the chat too, but you have so many, you guys, she's got so many great examples of like what to say who to say it to, regardless of like what type of relationship you have. And we're going to use the next few minutes to write this, but okay, for instance, some of them. And I like that you usually start a little bit generic, but then you go into a specific. And so, and you have a rule not to outline, but you broke that a few times for this, right?
Yeah, exactly. I generally felt like outlining was so fussy, but for some of these where I really wanted to like, I sort of would write a little timeline like, oh my God, this guy helped me at 3 different stages of my career. One time he had cancer, he didn't even tell me, and he like took my call. And I remember thinking like, why does he sound so tired? Like, and then later, I mean, I'm laughing now because he's fine. So I would not be laughing if he was not fine. But anyway, I felt like there was so much I wanted to say and I didn't want to forget. And I didn't want to do the thing I normally do, which I think is charming, which is just start writing, and it sort of is meandering and it's like a conversation and it's lovely. And I'm like, okay, for him, like, I think I really need to get a little bit organized and like hit those points that I think are really crucial here.
I mean, I think all of us can think of times where someone has thanked us specifically for a thing that you might have forgotten about, or you didn't think had that kind of lasting impact. Like I know as I coached volleyball for about 6 years, and a lot of teenagers that you think are like completely checked out, and then they come back with a thank you note or something at the end of the season that was really specific. And it's like, wow, like, okay, I am doing a good thing. All it took was one little line in their thank you in that card, thanks for teaching me this. Thanks for, spending a little bit more time on this. I will put some of these in the chat, but I'm just going to share a couple more examples that you have. And then, and by the way, you guys know this by now, but I'll just repeat it. This workshop is for you. However, it works for you to just write, to send more cards, to sit down, get them done. If that means muting me at any time, you go for it.
Mute the hell out of me.
Go for it.
And just, I can go on and on.
Well, and I could too, and I often do. So, okay, just to get some ideas going, if you guys want to jot anything down, or if you just want to get after it. Okay, to Leah, you said, I'm so grateful that you gave me a chance to write, that you took the time to explain how a magazine is made, that you made NYC sound cool. Thank you for being so nice to that 20-year-old beach kid. I love that. It's so specific. To Dana, you mentioned, she also laid me off. I couldn't bring myself to thank her for it, but then we kind of touched on that. And I love that you were real about that.
One too that I'm thinking of to share is this person that I worked with at Oprah Magazine, and I've always, it's truly every time I sit down to write, I think, oh, actually, I just told you guys this. She was the one, and I was like 21 when I started Oprah Magazine, and she was like, people don't talk about it a lot, but the most important part about writing is thinking. And I think about that. The most important part about writing is thinking. I think about that probably every day. And I just basically told her that, you were so smart, whatever. And I'm just like, I just quoted her back to herself. And I don't know, she told me that meant a lot to her, but so I think just if there's something in your head that somebody said, that's interesting for them to know.
That's good. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I need to do this. I need to do this prompt myself. I've gotten many coaches that I'm like, oh, you were so hard on me, or, whatever it is. But I have taken things that they've said and I relayed it to the girls that I coach.
So this is one, mentors, in addition to just me feeling like this is a good practice for people to get into because we don't think our mentors enough. Aside from that, people get really caught up in it's been too long, I'm too late, right? This is one of the most common questions that I get. And I always say that it actually means more the more time that goes by, but especially for mentorship, because you're not only seeing, the immediate, oh, you helped me get a job. Thank you. I got the job. It's like, you're seeing how your mentorship plays out over time. That's really special to somebody. And it's kind of crazy that we don't generally share it,
Yeah, it's true. So, I mean, you are letting a lot of us off the hook for, it's almost like the longer we put off that thank you, in a way, I'm kind of bullshitting this, but in a way it is better true. Because you're showing that person that they have a very long lasting impact.
Exactly. And that's what I keep trying to explain to people, because I feel like that's, I feel like it's just something our brain hooks onto. Like, oh, I'm just too late. Like, it's just weird now. It's too late. And it's like, oh, sorry to rip that excuse from you, but it's actually better because you have more to share. You can share how their advice and mentorship has impacted you over time. And that's
You feel like
like
that's the
way
same
more
that
interesting.
applies- Yeah, it applies to for the typical thank you notes, like for, someone doing you a favor or Christmas present, something like that.
I think yes. And I used to say I used to really say that it's if somebody said or did something that's impacted you, it means more over time. But I actually lately have even thought that the object, because I'm always like, what you're thinking of when you're thinking I'm too late is you're thinking of the traditional thank you note, thank you for the object. And yeah, maybe it's weird if like 10 years later, you're like, thank you for the sweater you gave me 10 years ago. But now I sort of have this new perspective on it, which is like, it's actually not weird. I just got this note from my friend, Grace, who so great. She took a picture of I got a Shutterfly picture of a broken bowl. And on the back, she wrote a note that this is the last of the wedding china that you gave me, these cereal bowls. And I've broken all of them over these last decade. And you knew how much I loved cereal. And you got me the fancy cereal bowls, and it meant so much to me. And I will never, something like I'll never treat myself to these cereal bowls that are as nice as the Kate Spade China cereal bowls that you got me. But it's meant so much to me these years that like I've thought of you every time I ate my morning cereal or whatever. And it's like, how great is that? Like, how much better is that than like any thank you note she could have written to me after the wedding,
That is beautiful. I mean, and how good does that feel to know that they were put to good use, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's really sweet. Okay. Let me give you guys I didn't put anything in the chat for you yet, but I'm just going to fire off a few more examples that I love that I highlighted. I love that you wrote one to Oprah, by the way. How many people can say, oh, I wrote Miss Winfrey a thank you note?
That being said, I never sent it because it's been a long time since I worked at Oprah Magazine, and I reached out to one of her old assistants, but I didn't hear back. And I'm so sensitive about being the pesky person that's trying to get a celebrity's attention. So it's like, I tried once, she didn't get back to me. And I'm like, I don't know, man. So that's just in my drawer. And I've sort of and same thing with Gail King, who, she actually like knows me. Like if she saw me, she'd be like, hi, Gina. She's very good like that. But that being said, I tried once to deliver it to her too. And I'm like, I'm not going to pester these celebrities just to get them these notes. So like in my mind, there's like a future, one of my, like a fantasy is like, I go on Gail's show and like give it to her. And I'm like, oh, here it is. Like I've been holding on to it since 2018 when I wrote it to you. So I'll just put that wish out into the world that, or that I'll be on Oprah's podcast and be like, been holding on to it. Here you go.
Did it hold value to you to write it though?
Exactly. And that's the thing. And that was like one of the points of my fan mail, my author chapter, which was all fan mail.
Yeah.
I did send those notes out to like whatever author address is on the website, some agent or publisher or whatever, but I'm imagining that a lot of these people are never seeing them, and it's not really the point. Like it's nice to share, a fan mail, but it was more the interesting part about that, and the fun part about that for me was reconnecting with these pieces of art that I loved and reconnecting with myself as a reader. And so similarly with the Oprah and the Gail, it's just revisiting a time in my life, and remembering what it felt like to be 22 and in the city and
the
working
purpose that it served. Yeah. Oh man. I love that you thanked Catherine Kelly. You said part of it was, thank you for reading and liking and publishing my essay about being 24. It was a career highlight. I think that, how many of us have reached out to someone to thank them for a highlight, like a career highlight? Got so much good stuff in here, Gina. It's just,
you guys are truly my target audience. It's hard to find a more target audience.
Right? This was like the most natural thing in the world. And I have to share for you guys. And I love that you guys are still writing, like keep writing. Cause again, we're just going to gab. I have to say, I think I was thinking of launching this monthly workshop, and I had already had the idea of reaching out to you. And then because you had like responded to, you know, some Instagram story or post, you said, I love a good prompt. And I was like, oh, who is this? And I totally went all in on you. And then I was about to like do some outreach once I had things like somewhat under control for this monthly, you know, these workshops. And I was like, that would be, I'm like, it's never going to happen, but I would love it if like Gina, someone like her came in to, you know, lead some prompts. And then you're like, you mentioned it. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. This is totally meant to be.
Oh my God. It's so much easier to get an author's time than you think. I swear to God. Oh my God. Like all we're doing, like as authors, it's just such a bad, like honestly, publishing is such a bad business as far as like nobody buys books. Like it's really hard. I work so hard to like get this book publicity. It's like if somebody is like, oh, hey, do you want to like talk to some people who like might want to buy your book? I'm like, absolutely. Are you kidding? Like, I mean, I hop onto book clubs. Like if somebody DMs me and they're like, I'm doing a book club, there's like 8 of us in Georgia. I'm like 100% sign me up. Like, yes. I mean, it's so easy to get an author's time. I mean, maybe not, you know, obviously not like a major author, but like anybody who's not on the New York Times bestseller list, like we're all just clamoring for like a little bit of attention.
Okay, I have like a huge like weight kind of lifted off my shoulders,
Yeah,
but also
very
sorry.
easy.
That is like sounds like a ton of work.
Oh my God. I was just talking to somebody. I just like met this agent. She's a former magazine editor, and I met her at this book party, and she was talking about the book publishing industry, that she like moved from magazines to book publishing. And I was like, so it's a front, right? Like the whole industry's a front. Just tell me the truth. Like it's like, I don't know, it's sad, but it's like, I don't know how it makes money. I mean, I know how it makes money because there's like 5 books that make money, and somehow those books like pay everybody, and everything else is like, I don't know. It's sad.
So backwards. It is sad. It's so backwards. How are you guys doing? Has anyone finished writing a card or something to a mentor? Just type a 1 in the chat if you have. I want to gauge.
Is everybody working on like one long card, or are you kind of like jamming out a few? I'm curious. Christina's done 1.
Audra, that's really sweet. This is cool because some of these workshops, I feel like we're just cranking. Like I think my mom wrote 9 the last workshop we did, and but then we'll have, you know, and I know it's not about the numbers, right? Like it's we've also had someone who was really struggling to come up with something to say to a sibling, and our group helped her come up with something, and she sent it. Like that 1 card is everything, you know. So these workshops, I just love them. I love what you guys do and how you spend the time in here. It's all whatever works for you. Yeah, but we're here, and that's that's most important.
We love you too.
Oh, yeah. Mwah, mwah, mwah. You guys are the best. Let's give this a few more minutes. We're actually doing okay on time here. You know, there's like 1,000 things I wanted to like cover and ask you about, but we're only going to get to like 1% of them. It's cool.
Can I say something?
Yes, please, Sherry.
Oh, here, let me put these in. Sorry.
I like your background, by the way. It's pretty pink color.
My red kitchen.
Pretty.
Thank you. One thing, I'm not done with your book, but I love writing thank you cards, and I always have. And so I was so excited when Sarah shared this book, and I was like, I have to have that book. And and you already told the story, but I loved that on the train, how, you know, you would be scrolling on your phone, and then boom, the time was up and you had already an hour was gone and you accomplished nothing. And then when you, I felt like when you were talking about when you transitioned into card writing, like there was this time travel that happened that felt so beautiful. And it just felt like a movie scene. Like I had this whole vision, like I was on the train with you and I was hanging on every word, and it was just so beautiful. And I really enjoyed that. And
thank you.
yeah, it really meant a lot, because I've been that dorky person who loves writing cards, and people are like, you did not need to send me a card. And I'm like, okay, but I wanted to, like, so I'm really loving your book.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. Yeah, I would say embrace the dorkiness. I feel like our dorkiness is what's good about us.
It's really good.
100%.
It's really good. I recently, I'll just share this little side story that kind of pertains, but not really, because it wasn't a card, but I have a baby podcast, and they're like 10 minutes long. And I talked about, this is just talking about mentors, one of my high school teachers and my third grade teacher in our very small town in Montana. And so I talked about them and just the impact they had in creating my artwork and just the books that they read to us. And they're just so inspiring. And one of my friends said, that the English teacher, that she's still alive, because I just assumed that she had passed. And so I tracked her down. Her mom was able to like connect me. This is a small town, right? And she's living in California with her son. And it was 2 days before her 94th birthday.
Oh my God.
And it was just, and that's what, like, when you're talking about mentors, is like, gosh, I've been working for myself for so long. I don't have that career mentor anymore, but I loved reaching out to my teachers who were a total mentor and very influential in starting that love of art and books and all of that.
I love that. I actually tried to reach out to my 5th grade teacher, who was so important to me, and definitely was the first one that like identified me as a writer and like encouraged me. And I called the principal of the old school, and she's like, oh, Mary C. Hall, wasn't she wonderful? I don't know. She's somewhere in Central California, and her name's Mary Hall in Central California. I'm like, how do I don't know. It's in my mind that like somehow I could, I don't know. I need to figure out like what the steps would be, like who else would reach out, who would I reach out to? And I don't know, as I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, I could like post on this hometown Facebook group. I don't know, like I could go through, I really do want to find her. So that's,
you should do it, because it was the best feeling. And she still had the same expression of, oh, how wonderful. I mean, it was this, I was like, I'm 16 again. Like that. So it's worth it. It was so worth it. So anyway,
that's lovely.
Just going to type in one more here.
Would anybody else like to share what you're writing about or what you've written about?
Sure, I will.
Yes.
A little background first. I wrote this one to my husband, thanking him for something that he said. And I have written a few things in my life just personally and shared them, and always gotten good feedback for that, but haven't really made writing a practice or really put it out there or done it more with it. So here's what I have. Eric, thank you for telling me this is what you do now. You are a writer. I may not be a published author yet, but both now and one day when it's true, I thank you for this moment. Brings me right back to that very moment, getting this text, sitting outside of a cafe in Zug, Switzerland, when it was the first time I was called a writer. It was the start of something.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Oh, that gave me chills. Wow.
Thank you for sharing that. He's going to love that.
That's going to mean the world to him.
What would we do without our supportive partners? I don't know. I don't know what I would, just speaking for myself, I don't know what I would do.
I don't either, but I also know I'd have less gray that I'd have to cover up.
There's the right
As he's
yin and yang of that.
he's stationed right now, working for our daughter's totally sick, and yeah. What is it when you not throw on the Hail Mary? Not that, it's the, I can't think of that phrase. Anyway, he helped me out big time this morning. Okay.
And of course, you said your daughter's sick. Hudson is sick. Of course she's sick today. Because like we've been planning this forever. And that is just the way the universe is like, how much can you take? Bring it on.
And we've been, I mean, knock on wood, we've been great for like the past few months with everything going on, have not been sick. And I know I'm getting whatever she has, but I'm just like on a high with like this today and just, plugging along. But oh my God, I hope.
Then you'll crash.
Yeah.
As soon as you
I
can.
know.
You're
And
like,
I
You
have
can
a
crash
market.
tomorrow.
I can't because I'm doing a market on Sunday that I have to prep for. I have to like
oh my
get a bunch of
God.
inventory.
I'll be right over,
All
okay?
good.
I'm
Thanks,
coming
Sherry.
over.
Get on that flight. Get over here.
Okay, I'm coming.
Deb, I think Deb already left, but that was really sweet. Okay, let me see where we're at. Have any of you, by the way, received something like along the lines of this prompt that made you feel really good? Like, has someone said something to you as, a colleague, coworker, maybe someone that like a mentee? Just curious. Because I love when we throw out our own examples to each other and help each other out. If you think of it, go ahead and dump it in the chat. But I'm proud of myself for only being like 5 minutes before 11 o'clock right now, or 2 o'clock. I would love to, if you guys are up for it, just kind of jump into Q&A sesh. I've got several questions myself. Selena, I definitely want you to raise your hand at some point. No pressure. Selena is also a writer and she's incredibly talented. She is so good. I just like you somehow.
I just realized my Zoom has me and my son and my name on it because I'm usually on here for like school meetings. I have so many questions. I will raise my hand. So I loved your book, Gina. I tore through it in like 3 days. I loved so much about it. First of all, I have so many additional books on my to read list. You had so many great books that you referenced.
Oh good.
And I loved your like candor about the relationships that you have. Like you weren't trying to sugarcoat that all these thank you notes were, fluffy and light. And then I also loved that you didn't like the thank you note wasn't trying to fix it necessarily. It was kind of like, I'm going to put some gratitude out into the universe. And that ultimately led to a lot of healing, it seemed like.
Yeah.
But my question, I loved the data that you included about weak ties.
Mm-hmm.
And like, especially right now, I feel like amidst COVID, so much of that broke down. Like we were not interacting with people casually. If anything, you were like trying to stay away, and that was the most loving thing to do. Right.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, like, I feel like that part of me has atrophied a little bit, like my ability to be open with strangers and kind of create the opportunity for, sorry, that's my daughter, for creating these more casual connections. So, and you seem like such an open person naturally, but I was wondering if you have any suggestions on how to better do that.
Yeah, it's funny. I hear you. I mean, on the one hand, just like walking around my neighborhood again and feeling more, comfortable talking to people has been so wonderful. And I happen to have a neighborhood that's very conducive to like, I don't know. I live in Brooklyn where like there's like a mozzarella shop and there's a butcher and I'm constantly interacting with people. Like when I go into Whole Foods, I'm like, this is different. Like it's obviously a harder place to like make a connection than with like the butcher that's always there. But anyway, first of all, I hear you. We're like, I had this one day where like, I don't know, 3 people were like trying to chat me up. There was like a cabbie and this and that. And I was just like, maybe I'm not good at this anymore. I'm just like not in the mood to like talk to people. I know that I should feel like constantly grateful that I'm like out in the world and we're not that I feel comfortable COVID wise to like be talking to people, but like, I don't always want to, like, I don't know. So like, first of all, I feel like it's not like an all or nothing situation. Like sometimes it's okay to like not want to like foster weak tie relationships. But I'm trying to think of like, I mean, when I spoke to that woman who was so wonderful, and actually she just emailed me having finished my book, and I'm just reminding myself to get back to her today. She was saying, because she's pivoted into research about like talking to strangers and like how to do it and why people are afraid of it, and all those things. And she was saying, she was talking about her dad and how good he is at it. And she said that he always wears a shirt from a race that he's run. He's like a marathon runner, because that fosters relationships. So she's like, people talk about the weather because it's the one thing we all have in common. We're in it, and like you are trying to find like common ground. Like that's how you approach somebody. And she's like, my dad, like he wears these shirts so that like maybe somebody will approach him. And he also is like always looking for these little clues too, like, oh my God, your bracelet, or, like, so you're just, it's like the weather is the thing that you default to. But it's like trying to find something, another thing, like a little clue or a little like, I don't know. I'm thinking about my mom too, who's so good at this. Like she is like, as this woman was talking about her dad, I was like, oh my God, my mom, like I never really thought about it, but my mom like just knows everywhere we go with my mom. I'm like, how do you know that guy? It's like, and I see her, she's just brings up a conversation. She just like picks up a clue about somebody and starts a conversation and asks a question. So yeah, it's a funny thing in New York where like you think that people won't do that, and there is like this anonymity, but on the one hand, but then on the flip side, there is a lot of like these interactions that are treasured. It's like people, like my husband grew up on the Upper West Side in Manhattan, and like his relationship with his doorman is like very, it's like a very real relationship, so it's a funny, I don't know, it's a funny thing, that like balance of like allowing people their a little bit of privacy and not being too much, but then also like kind of giving these little, just asking like this little question and giving an opening and allowing for a conversation that's like a little deeper,
I love that. And I totally, one of the people I wanted, while reading your book, wanted to write a card to is the old parking garage attendant at my parking garage, because he was so impactful in my day-to-day life, and now it's a machine and I have no idea how to get in touch with him, but it made me think.
Somebody else was just talking about their parking lot attendee, and they were like, I'm, in COVID that this person had like nothing to do, but they were always so glad to see them, and they really hope that they're not replaced by a machine.
Yes.
It's funny. Yeah.
It's so sad. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for reading. I really appreciate that.
Selena texted me. She's like, I had this realization that you related to what Gina said about being like the Scrooge, like before the holidays, and then how this book and this whole experience just kind of like brought you back to your younger self. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, like, how many of us do you think are walking around maybe not even knowing that we have like become this like Scroogey version of ourselves? Like, do you think, like, since you've gone through all this and you've seen both sides of it now, do you think a lot of us are going through that? And if you do, like, what do you want to say to us? Like, what would you want?
I mean, first of all, I feel like if you're a mom or parent, just to be like less, I'm hoping that, I don't know, I hope that a lot of the fathers out there are pulling their fair share, or, but if you are a parent, you just have too much to do around the holidays. It's just too much. It's too fucking much. Pardon my bad word. And like your card said, and I don't know. I mean, yes, first of all, equity with the other partner is a good thing to strive for. I don't know. I'm constantly just trying to like give up some of the tasks, delegate some of the tasks. I don't know. I used to like fill everybody's stockings. I'm married to a Jew, and then his whole family is now like in the Christmas world with us. And then somehow I'm like, okay, so I need to fill everybody's stockings because I've like I'm like Santa, right? Like I brought Christmas to the Jews and like I'm in charge of everybody's stockings. And like, and would stress me out beyond belief. And like, you know, I couldn't afford to like do amazing things with the stockings. So some of that stuff was like, you know, I'd like hit up sample sales and like, I don't know. I was like just trying to get so creative to like fill everybody's stockings in a way that was like somewhat affordable and would just like run me ragged. And then my husband's like, what if we just did like a Secret Santa thing and everybody picks a different one and fills it? And I like held on to it, even though it was like driving me crazy because I don't know why. It's hard to change a habit. It's hard to let go. And then that was like the best idea. Everybody just enjoyed it so much more. Like when you let people take ownership for their own, you know, it's like, and I'm thinking too of like Thanksgiving and letting people bring, you know, their own meals or like whatever it is, like allowing people to like have the ownership and share in it in the work is like, not only is it helpful for you and your like sanity, but it's actually like way more fun for them, you know?
I love that answer because it wasn't what I would immediately think of. You know, it's like, how can we not be so Scroogey? Well, let's look at how much we're actually giving that's taking away from like the other version of ourselves that we want to be, you know, that we used to be. That is, I love that. That's so true.
I mean, and then of course it's like,
right, to let people do things. It's
yeah. Cause, and then of course you know, there's the other answer of like focusing on gratitude, like allows you to see what's, you know, what's there instead of what's missing, which is like, you know, the whole like premise of my book. And it's also true, but it also is like, just logistically, we're just doing too much. So like, it's very hard to focus on gratitude when you're just like ragged and like, you know, just out of energy and sleep and just giving to everybody and then depleting. So it's like addressing that first and then using the gratitude trick of like focusing on what's there instead of what's missing, you know?
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I love that okay. That's something that I love about you in general in your book is that I'll be honest, maybe I shouldn't admit this, but when I first saw the title and everything, I thought, how the heck did this woman do this? Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to like relate. Yes, because I was like, this sounds impossible, but immediately, like you read one page, you read into you a little bit and it's like, okay, you are so real about this. And you even say like, you admit where you were before and how like, you even talk about the word gratitude, how you didn't want to have that be a part of your book title, you know, because of how we associate all these different things around the word gratitude. I want to like say thanks for that, for keeping it very real, because I think you represent a lot of us and how we feel about all this. And I love that I never thought of it this way. This is something else I highlighted that I really wanted to share, how, you know, that this book kind of became like your redemption story. I love that. And how gratitude is optimism, how that's how you look at it. It's not just this really, oh, let's all have gratitude. No, it's like, this is actually a perspective in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I know this is like my like, I don't know, like, I feel like this is my like issue that I have with the book, where I feel like if somebody just, I mean, I think the cover is very beautiful, but I think if somebody just like sees it and doesn't know me and doesn't know anything about it, it might seem cheesy, or it might seem, I don't know, goody two shoes-ish or whatever. So I feel like I lead when I meet people around this, I often like drop some F-bombs. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not what you think. I'm not what you think. Like, I'm definitely not a perfectionist. I'm definitely don't think I'm like better than you. And I definitely, like, I'm not going to like quote a bunch of cheesy gratitude notes, gratitude quotes, like, I promise. So yeah, I don't know. It's funny. It's like the image issue that I have with the book. I'm always trying to like combat that.
So hard.
And I don't know what the like answer is. I don't know.
But it's great too, because it's, I mean, you right off the bat, it's like you address the fact that we're in a disconnected world, you know, that it's not all of these, you know, rainbows and pretty like rose colored glasses thing. It's like, no, you're addressing the fact that like, this is a kind of shitty, you know, time that we're in for a lot of reasons. And this is what I did. Like, this is, I mean, again, I should really emphasize, it took me all of like 1 second to get past that. Just by looking at like your Instagram and reading about the book and what it was about. Like, this is it's exactly the opposite of cheesy and any of those things. And I just really appreciated that. I mean, like I'm just going to read this part because this like really affected me. And this is, I try to end these workshops on like a, positive note that kind of wraps all of this together. And I really just want to share this in case, especially for those of you that haven't read it yet. Yeah. Okay. Maybe this is my redemption story after all. My thank you year didn't carry me from stingy to generous, or from miserable to happy, or from cruel to kind, but it allowed me to look outside myself and my lists and really see other people. It helped me go from disconnected to connected, from distracted to present, from autopilot to pilot, from cranky and busy to joyful and optimistic. Sometimes. Love that. Most of the time. Gratitude is optimism. It's choosing to see the contours of what's there instead of the shadows of what's missing. And gratitude is a pathway back to a friendship, to hobbies you once loved, to identities you've shed. It's a pathway back to yourself. The word gratitude once grated on me. I avoided it when naming this project. Now I fully embrace the word, as I have so much else that's vulnerable and embarrassing and uncool. If this book has felt like a love letter to my husband, my family, my neighborhood, my friends, that's because it is. Thank you notes help me fall in love with my too hectic, often messy, deeply imperfect, very lucky, absolutely miraculous life. And expressing gratitude can do the same for you too.
Ugh, like you made me cry, even though it's my own words, which is like, how lame is that? I know those last two paragraphs always, when I read my book, like for the audio version, and I'm like, could not get through those last. I had to like redo it like 5 times. But I also wrote that in March of COVID, March 2020. I wrote the last chapter, so I was like a raw nerve, and like, so it like kind of brings back all those feelings too.
Man, well, I understand that. I mean, I'm like getting a little bit choked up because holy shit, what a realization, right? So I just thank you. This is like such a gift that you are here, and it's such a gift that you not only did this and impacted so many people. I can't help but think of how wide the ripple effects have been from you doing this.
That's so nice.
So I want to thank you for that. And then to take the time to write a book about it. I mean, what a labor of love, hopefully, that this is. It's amazing. So you are phenomenal. And I just really appreciate you being here.
I'm not very good at taking compliments, but I'll take the rest of it. Thank you.
I understand. I just had to say that.
That's so nice. Thank you. Nobody's ever read that aloud to me. It was like oddly hit me in the feels in a way that I did not anticipate. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I just love that. Before we go, does anyone else have anything they want to share or ask?
I'll just add one more thing to just reiterate what Sarah said. Sarah was just going crazy over this book, and I was like, okay, that's super intimidating, that a thank you card a day, like, I don't know if I can achieve that. And, but it was so inspiring because of the way you approached it. And what Sarah said is just, it was not intimidating at all because you were so real about it. And you just owned like, I don't want to fucking do that. Like, are you kidding? and just the transformation that was so natural and organic that took place. That's what I really enjoyed. And I really found it inspiring. And I've written a lot of thank you cards because of Sarah's workshops, but because of your book also, outside of Sarah's, workshops. So I love this book, and I just misplaced it for a couple of days, and I was freaking out. And right before this workshop, I went and I was like, I know where it's at. It's in my nightstand. So I was like, whew. So I love it. Thank you. Thank you
guys. Thank you guys. Wow. I'm going into the weekend like all full of happy little feels. So thank you. Really,
Good.
Really special.
You deserve every bit of it. Yeah. Selena, you unmuted for a second there. Did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I thought it like the book made me really emotional. Like I was like found myself like welling up in a lot of different, and it was actually mostly in the places where you talked about weak ties and your examples. Really? That, yeah, I think because so much of that we haven't had, and I hadn't really reflected on how that is, impacting me. And then your book helped give me ideas of how to get more creative about expressing gratitude. Like we have some neighbors who the little kids every single week for the last 6 months, they put out a little piece of paper and you vote on something. So it'll be like, do you like carving pumpkins more or going to the pumpkin patch? And you vote with these little painted rocks.
That's so cute.
So cute. And then at the end of the week, they tally it up and they put last week's results and then they do a new one. And so, I mean,
Come on, stop it. That's so
right?
adorable.
I know. Yeah. And so it made me, and we go every day. So we do vote quite a few times, but I take my daughter and it made me think, oh my gosh, I don't know these people at all. They're 5 blocks away. But it made me think I should write them a letter of how impactful this has been, so I think
Totally.
that you're
just put it in the little thing, a little,
yeah, exactly. And so it's made me look out, kind of like you talk about in your book, look for more examples of what I want to be thankful for. And then it makes, oh, amazing. And then you realize how bountiful your life is versus that kind of, I do find on Instagram, I'll start feeling that kind of scarcity, striving, I need a new shirt, everything will be, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's so much more 100%. Grounding.
You just need to put your marathon shirt on.
I know. I'm like, oh, I thought that was annoying, a humble brag, I've run a marathon, but I love that idea.
If I ran a marathon, I would wear that every single day.
Totally. Me too. Okay. These people are amazing. They're incredible. Are you one of them? Selena, did you run a marathon?
I have, yeah.
I just I honestly, first of all, Marathon Day in New York's my favorite day of the year. And I just feel I don't know. I went on and on with my sons about it this year. I'm like, do you understand what these people have done? And they're not all athletes. They just decided to do something amazing. And then they did it and they trained. And I don't know. I find the whole thing so inspiring. Now I've only run 3 miles at a time, but hats off.
No, that's the last marathon I did was New York. It's the one time I've been to New York. So yeah.
Oh, really? Isn't it everybody's just so,
amazing.
I don't know. It's the city comes out in this incredible way. It's the best of the city that day. I love it.
Would wearing your medal be too much? Or just asking.
No, go for it.
I love that you haven't spoken until now and that's what you decided to say. That's really chef's kiss for that. Love that.
Stephanie, I love you. Oh my gosh. I don't want this to end, but I also want to be respectful of everyone's time. And can I just throw this out, Selena and Gina? I feel like you guys need to connect because
that'd be great. Yeah, connect us.
Is so incredibly talented, and her words really get to the core, especially of moms. And I was thrilled for you guys to be in the same room.
Yeah, connect me with anybody who wants to connect. I'm very, awesome. Very reachable.
Thank you. Okay. I don't want to end this, but I should. I thank you, Gina, so much. Let's all give some love to Gina.
Thank you guys for having me.
You're so
really
awesome. Yeah.
Really, I feel so good. Thank you so much, guys.
Good. All right. I'll send the replay out for everyone to get some inspiration anytime from this. I know I'm going to be watching this myself and writing to some mentors that I haven't in the past. Okay. Reach out with any questions. Gina, thank you. You're awesome. Oh, shoot, I almost forgot. I had a giveaway today. So unfair of people that had to leave because I went over. If you take a screenshot right now, take a little picture of us doing this and tag me and Gina in it, Gina and me. Anyone that does that is going to be entered to win a box set of cards of your choice. Okay. It can be holiday set, 6 of these babies. I'll ship them to you guys.
I'll send a signed copy too. I'll throw that in there.
Yay. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. I should probably take a picture here before we all go.
And before you X out of it, did you know, everybody noticed that Sarah put a lot of those prompts from my book in the chat. So I don't know if you copy and paste it or whatever, but that was helpful, I thought.
Save that. It automatically saves for the host, right? Hopefully. Don't know. Saving. Okay. Everyone smile. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Such beautiful faces. Okay. I feel like I should give a chance to the people that had to go. I'll tell them about it on the side. Alrighty. Okay.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day and
Bye.
weekend.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Gina.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
it was awesome.
Thanks, Sarah. Bye.
Awesome.
All right. Bye. Bye, Mama. I love you. You're muted, Mom. You're still muted. I can get a little bit of what you're saying. I love you. I love you, Mama. All right. Well, I'll call you later.